November 8th, 2024 is called to order. Dan, would you come up and do the prayer, please?
Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings of this day. Thank you for all the blessings that you shower down upon our wonderful little town here. Please help everyone make good decisions tonight and just look upon us and help us through all the troubles and everything we're going to have in 2024. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. All right, pledge allegiance. Tim. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
William Ellis.
Here.
Scott Oldham.
Here.
Trevor Sager.
Here.
Pamela Samples. Here. Dan Swafford.
Here.
All right, first thing on the agenda, first year is election of officers. Let's go ahead and do president first.
I make a motion that we elect Scott Oldham as president.
I'll second. And what's up?
Need to ask if there's other nominees.
Are there any other nominees? Seeing none, council action.
I did have a quick question on going forward. Like for something like this, do you want me to do roll call for each individual or just? Please. Scott Oldham?
Yeah.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Pamela Samples?
Yes.
Dan Swafford?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so Scott,
Right.
he gets the gavel, the most fun part of the job.
Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you. Nominations for vice president.
I make a motion to make Dan Sample vice president.
Dan Swafford?
Or Dan Swafford.
Okay, sorry. Just wanted to be sure I heard you right.
Okay.
Sorry, Dan, I just wanted to... Something you didn't tell us here?
I'm tired too.
Is there a second for Dan as vice president? I'll second. Motion second. Are there other nominees? Seeing none. Noel?
William Ellis?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Pamela Samples?
Yes.
Dan Swafford?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We have several, I guess, appointments. First is the Plan Commission for Pat Wazlowski and David Drake. I don't know, has anyone spoken to them about?
Yes, they've agreed to continue on.
Okay. If there's no objections from the council, we will reappoint both? Seeing no objections. Next is a member of government. This is appointed by council vote. Sandy Hash and Pam Samples were the two there. Do you want to do this again?
I'd like to stay on it.
Okay. Yeah.
And for Sandy's position, I don't have a replacement at this time.
Okay. Mike, did you have an idea for someone?
I'm sorry?
Did you have an idea to replace Sandy for someone?
I did. Thought we got
We did, and the person said, no, thank you.
it. We didn't talk about that.
You know somebody else?
Mark,
Not at this time, not at this time.
Does it have to be elected official?
It has to be, for this position, it has to be an elected official or government employee.
It can't be anybody else on the board.
Right.
So I'd like to table this until the next meeting, please.
Well, let's deal with Pam's reappointment first, and then we'll
Okay.
table the second one, if that's okay.
Okay.
So this one is, we have no other nominations, correct, at this point?
Well, I will make the nomination for Noel Conyer. She's another elected official and outside of planning, but if we want to consider other applicants, I understand, but that's,
Okay, well, let's do this. For Pam, is there a second? Second. Okay, for Noel, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So Noel, if we'll go Pam first, as far as voice vote.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
Trevor Sager.
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
Yes.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and then for yourself?
William Ellis,
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
No.
Trevor Sager.
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
No.
Dan Swafford.
No.
Okay, so we'll revisit that next week, I'm sorry, at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Board of Zoning Appeals, the only term ending here was Pat Wazlowski. Have you talked to Pat? Because I have not, I'm sorry.
He's agreed to continue.
Okay, is there council objection to having Pat stay on the board? Or Board of Zoning Appeals, I'm sorry. Okay, so Pat will stay on that board. Next is Parks and Recreation. Megan Day's term ended at the end of 2023. Jimmy's not here, but does anyone know if she wants to stay on?
I do not know.
I had only heard from Serena that she recently had a newborn and that she wasn't able to attend the meetings that she previously had. So she hadn't expressed interest in continuing, but I don't have the email in front of me that Serena had sent.
All right, well, I appreciate you at least reaching out and finding out. Is there a motion from council to potentially table this until next meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
William Ellis,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples,
Yes.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
And then we get to the annual appointments, and let me just read them off en masse, and we can discuss if the people want to stay there or not. Monroe County Emergency Management Advisory Council is Kevin Patton. Monroe County Solid Waste District Board is Dan Swafford, or Dan Samples, whichever. Ellettsville Chamber of Commerce is Mike Farmer. Metropolitan Planning Organization is Pam Samples. Health Officer is Kevin Patton. And Bloomington Economic Development, you've got 4 seats down. Who are in them now?
So on the executive board, we have Mike Farmer and Pamela Samples. And then for our general seats, which do not vote, is myself and Denise Lai.
Okay. First, for all those positions, is there anyone who no longer wishes to serve in those capacities?
We'll say if Pam does no longer wishes to serve, I'll serve in BEDC.
It works for me. I mean,
What do you want to
it
do,
works
Pam?
with 2 board members.
Do you want to stay, or do you? No, you don't want to stay on?
No.
Okay. So you're okay with him replacing you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So with that all said, from Monroe County Emergency Management Advisory Council, Kevin Patton. Is there a motion from council?
So moved.
Second.
Noel?
William Ellis,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples,
Yes.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Monroe County Solid Waste District Board, Dan Swafford currently. Is there anyone else from the board, or is there a motion from the board?
I make a motion to keep Dan Swafford on the Monroe County Solid Waste District Board.
Whenever you're ready, Noel.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples,
Yes.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ellettsville Chamber of Commerce, Mike Farmer.
Yes.
Does the board have any other suggestions, or is there a motion from the board for Mr. Farmer?
I make a motion to keep Mike Farmer as Ellettsville Chamber of Commerce.
Second.
When you're ready.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples,
Yes.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Metropolitan Planning Organization, Pam Samples.
I'm going to step down from there.
Okay, you want off that?
Excuse me, Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
Clarify that's the policy committee.
All I've got is what's in front of me, so if that's a clarification I need to make, I certainly can.
Yes, please.
Okay. From the Policy Committee,
For what, the MPO or the chamber?
Yes, the policy, MPO's policy committee. There's 2 separate committees under the MPO.
Okay.
okay. And do we have 2 separate seats that we have to fill for that, or just one?
Just one. Just one, the policy.
Okay. All right. Is anyone want to take that position?
I think Dan does.
I'll take it if no one else wants it. I've done it before.
Okay. Objections from the board or other appointments? Is there a motion from the board?
I make a motion to put Dan Swafford on the Metro Planning Organization. It's policy.
When you're ready?
William Ellis?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Pamela Samples?
Yes.
Dan Swafford?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Health Officer, Kevin, do you want to stay? Okay. Other suggestions from the board, or is there a motion?
Make a motion to keep Kevin Patton as the health officer.
Second.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Pamela Samples?
Yes.
Dan Swafford?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And for the 4 seats for Economic Development, Mike Farmer, William Ellis, Noel, and Denise. Any objections from either 4 of you?
I would like to just clarify, so for the 4 seats, you have 2 for the executive board, which right now are Mike Farmer and Pamela Samples. So we may want to put that in there just because those are the voting members. And then Denise and I currently have the general seats, which are non-voting members.
All right, let's break them into 2. For the voting seats, Mike and William. From the board? Motions or suggestions?
I'm sorry, what was it?
For Mike and William to be the voting members?
I'll make a motion. So moved.
Second.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Pamela Samples?
Yes.
Dan Swafford?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And for Noel and Denise to remain as the non-voting members?
So moved.
Second.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Trevor?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
Yes.
Pamela Samples?
Yes.
Dan Swafford?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Before we move on, there's one other board that I didn't notice in the minutes. Last year, we forgot it too, and we had to do it later, Animal Control Board.
Oh, that's right. Who holds that seat currently?
Currently, I do, and I really don't want to stay on it.
Well, is there a volunteer to take William's place?
I was hoping one of you would not be here, so we'd volunteer you.
What do? They meet or?
Yeah, they meet, and I wish I could say we played with puppies and kittens, but no. We have to hear people that have violated permits and ordinances, and ones that appeal it.
I think we have a dead ringer for this board, Trevor, don't you?
No,
Conservation officer?
no. I'm more a wildlife kind of guy.
Yeah.
That might put Trevor into some professional conflict, though. Anybody else?
Oh, no, they hear bad stuff.
Yeah.
I'll serve again.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah. Sometime I'm really hoping to get on the Plan Commission, but some year.
Maybe you can trade 3 for 1. 3 years of animal control.
I don't know.
All right, all those for William to go to animal control or suggestions otherwise?
Hopefully everybody votes no.
Is there a motion
So moved.
Second.
when you're ready?
William Ellis?
No.
Pamela Samples?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
I'll stand in solidarity, no.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Dan Swafford?
Yes.
You can blame
Motion
Dan.
carries.
Yeah.
Excuse me, somebody's in the waiting room on Zoom.
Oh,
Should be Jim Crow.
Yeah. No, I won't. Approval of the minutes for the regular meeting, December 27th, 2022.
So moved.
123.
2023, I'm sorry. I read it wrong. We can do 22, too.
Yeah, it's good to do that too.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Action to pay accounts payable, vouchers, and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolutions, there's 2 of those tonight. First resolution is Resolution 01, 2024, cancellation of warrants, which is old outstanding checks. This is a normal, I guess, procedural method for every year we have to do this. Okay. Do you want to explain what we've got?
So Amber actually prepared this. This was something that her and Sandy had worked on. And It's 2 years if the checks haven't been cashed and they haven't been reported as lost, so we could do stop payment to issue new checks. So we just cancel these out so that we can get them off the books.
What's the vote for this year?
$241.05.
Okay. Questions from the board? Is there any action from the board?
I move approval of resolution 01-2024, cancellation of old warrants.
Second.
William Ellis?
Yes.
Scott Oldham?
Yes.
Trevor Sager?
Yes.
Pamela Samples?
Yes.
Dan Swafford?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 02-2024 to approve the purchase of an easement for the installation of water line across property owned by Umberger Farms LLC.
You want to start or you want me to?
I can start. Michael Farmer has been informally discussing with Marty Umbarger the purchase of an easement across the northern part of his property, and Mr. Umbarger's property is just south of Cahey. And so Utilities is interested in securing an easement across the Umbarger Farms LLP property for the purpose of installing a replacement water line. And the installation of that line would also comport with the town's master plan. So the issue is how much is to be paid for that, and I'll let Michael explain that
Okay, do
part.
they have a copy of the?
I do not know if they have a copy of the letter or
Maybe
not.
I'll give it a copy. Okay, well, good. That doesn't sound good. So, okay, well, first of all, the water line project is part of our rate study. It's on the capital project list. And we are going to be replacing what was originally the water main from the wells out west of town. So it's 60-year-old plus water main. It's 6-inch. It was before they lined them with concrete linings. It needs replaced. So part of our master plan for the entire town, which is at least 40 years old, was to provide a 12-inch water line out onto that property. And in fact, from there back to Reeves Road to complete a loop of 12-inch water main. So anyway, long story short is we're going to put the new 12-inch main in a more convenient location, and it will take place of the 6-inch main, and so we need an easement to put it in the location we chose. There's 3.645 acres that we need for an easement. I'm looking, so I need to make sure I get this right here. 1.215 acres is permanent, and 2.43 acres is temporary. And so what you'll have is a 20-foot wide permanent easement and a 40-foot wide temporary easement for construction. So total price is $66,825. We utilized the cost per acre for the permanent easement. We matched to what was given for the Harmon Farm. And we looked at some of the prices as given per acres at Loudon and Reeves Road for some of that property that was going for residential, which is quite a bit more than $35,000 an acre. So we thought that would be an appropriate amount to offer. And then for the 2.43 acres, we estimated 10,000. 10,000, well, actually, it's 20,000 for the 2.43 acres. So that's set up.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'll get you the letter, but basically it comes to $66,825. And to be clear, $42,525 is a permanent easement, $24,300 is for the temporary.
I have a different amount in the resolution. The
Noel,
resolution has
Noel and I crossed wires. I sent a draft at 121 with the 66,825, and she sent something out at roughly the same time with the earlier number in it. But it is 66,825.
Yeah, and that has not changed since we decided on the total amount.
Where's the money coming from? Do we have
It
the
is
money?
coming out of, yeah, it's coming out of our, we actually have approximately $453,000 left over from the secondary water line that we've never used for anything. It's just been in a cash account. After we did the secondary water line, and it's part of our rate study, it was included in some of the capital projects that we do. So we're going to spend it first, and this was all went through the IRC, and so the money will come from that amount. And that's where the materials and labor and all that will come.
Questions from the council?
Already asked mine?
I'm sorry?
I said I already asked mine.
Oh, okay. Darla, on this, any problem with the calculations as we used it to per acre, et cetera?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Since this is, no, go ahead, I was going to open it for public comment, so.
I got a question. I read something about eminent domain. Is that
Good, bad?
the way we're going? Have you've spoken to them, correct, or?
I've talked to him about purchasing an easement. The way we go about it, I haven't spoken to him about, but I'm pretty sure after I talk to him, he'll be fine with it. If he's not,
The eminent domain statutes require only that if a municipality wants to purchase property, the municipality provide the property owner with an appraisal or some other evidence showing how the amount was calculated, which is why I suggested that you go under those statutes. That does not mean that if Mr. Umbarger or Mr. Farmer can't agree that you have to proceed with eminent domain.
So in other words, what we're attempting here is a negotiated settlement as opposed to
Correct.
anything else.
Correct.
Dan, does that answer your question? I'm sorry. Okay. Since this involves a public purchase, is there any public comment or question? Seeing none, back to the council for some type of action.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2-2024.
For the purchase of the easement in the amount of $66,825.
Correct.
Second.
Motion second, Noel?
William Ellis?
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
Trevor Sager.
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
Yes.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Mr. Ray, do you have an Envision Ellettsville update?
After a holiday break, we're going to have a task force meeting on January 23rd from 3 to 4:30. And this is a task force combination of business gathering, connectivity, and beautification. There's a UDO meeting tomorrow from 1 to 3. And we're mostly working on design standards in our task force meeting.
Any questions from council? Seeing none. Thanks, sir. Under new business, applying for the ICAM, I assume it's a grant for rural transit.
Yes, at the last town council meeting, there was a discussion about an email that Nick Smoligo from the IU Center for Rural Engagement sent to town council members, suggesting that the town council might be interested in applying for a grant. It's called the Innovative Coordinated Access and Mobility, or ICAM grant, which might be able to provide funding for rural transit. And I had forwarded to the council a January 2nd email from Mr. Smoligo outlining or summarizing the particulars of the grant. It has, if the town applies, the town has to be applying in order to get funds for a capital project capital project is defined pretty broadly, and that includes a joint development project, improvement project, that enhances the effectiveness of public transportation as related physically or functionally to public transportation. That was a category that Mr. Smalago and I discussed that the town's grant might come under. So I asked Noel to put this on the agenda to see what the town council's thoughts were, and do you want me to try to pursue it further or not?
Thoughts from council?
So if we do go after this grant, how much is the grant for, or do we put a number in, or how's it work?
You know, Dan, I do not know, and I am not a grant person, so this is new to me, and I would just have to wade through it. When Mr. Smalago sent me his email, he said that the grant writer in the office was actually out for one more week, and her name is Kate Rasek. So if the council wants me to pursue this, I can give her a call and just find out if this is even going to be suitable for the town's purposes.
Yeah, I feel that we need more information. Denise, did you want to add something?
Yeah, so I read the federal requirements today, and it's an 80/20 grant. And what I read said the local government has to have a transportation program. If not, then we have to have a sub-recipient who has the transportation program.
Rural Transit very well qualified for that.
Yeah.
So I think that's-
And the deadline filing the grant is February 13th.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Okay. So from council, should we have Ms. Brown continue with her?
I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. You don't need any kind of vote, you just need consensus, right?
That's fine. I'll see what I can do.
Okay. We'll move on then to privilege of the floor. Anyone having business for the council not part of our normal agenda? Seeing no one in person? Okay. So if you want to identify yourself for the record, please?
I'm Russ Ryle.
Okay, go ahead, Russ.
In the previous years, the departments have put out annual reports with statistics showing the changes in their activity and what their needs are for the future. I would like to see the departments put out an annual report for 2023, the way the town is growing and our whole complex is changing from a small town to an urban area. We need to look forward as to what our departments need and our priorities should be. Excuse me. Scott, you made the very astute comment that at our last meeting that our fire department is a one-horse operation, and we really can't handle two major incidents at the same time. So to me, we need to concentrate more on our basic services and make sure we can handle the expansions we're facing.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else? Seeing no one. Move on to supervisor comments. Start
I'm
with,
going to start as the utilities director, water. The QR code on your water bill in the message portion of your water bill is so you can scan it and get on a survey, and it'll tell us, it'll ask, I think, 3 questions, and it'll allow us to know what type of material you have going from the meter pit into your house. It's part of the lead and copper rules from IDEM and actually from EPA. If you would participate, we'd really appreciate it. It'll save us an extraordinary amount of time and money, and every time we spend money, it reflects in our rates. So this is a pretty easy survey to take. I think I said last time I got on it and took the survey just to see how easy it was, and so I got through it, so I'm pretty sure anybody else can do it in the world. We really appreciate your help. It will save us money, and it will definitely save us a lot of time. And to repeat, we won't have to dig in your yard. And so I appreciate if you check it out as a community member and one of our customers. Try it out. Appreciate the help. The other thing I'd say is, it looks like from the weather forecast that real winter is coming. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to have single-digit mornings, and this will be the real first cold blast we've had. As usual, after 50-plus years of doing this, the first blast catches people unaware. They don't have their vents in their crawl spaces closed. They've left hoses hooked up to their spigots, which doesn't allow them to drain, and then they freeze and bust. And if you happen to see a meter lid of ours that's not properly placed on top of their meter pit, you can call us, we'll take care of that. But you need to get your house in order and make sure the pipes don't freeze when the wind blows and it gets down to single digit. If you do have a problem, we have 24/7 emergency service to shut off your water. If it is real cold and you have no water, but you do not have a burst pipe, we may wait till in the morning for the safety of our employees to come out. But all you have to do is call the 812-876-2297 office number, and they will send you to our emergency services, and we will be available if we're needed. That's about all I have.
Okay. Deputy Chief?
Just to give you a heads up, we have 3 pieces of equipment that were original to the wastewater treatment plant. Wheel loader, which is 1995, tandem dump truck, and also we have a gator down there that was original to the wastewater plant. Currently got 3 prices for the wheel loaders. I will be sending you this information over the next 2 weeks, so you'll be prepared. I'm just giving you a heads up to look for it, and obviously I'll be making a suggestion on at least the wheel loader at the next meeting. Hopefully I'll have other prices before then. If not, it'll be the following meeting. So just giving you a heads up.
Wanted to make sure everybody's aware, April 8th, 2024 this year is when we're having the solar eclipse. And the Ellettsville Police and Fire Departments, with the help of Lieutenant Zach Michaels and Deputy Chief Klaus, are putting together an incident action plan for the emergency services portion of that. And we'll make sure you guys get a copy of that. But we had a meeting today with the remainder of the supervisors, because they will also have a part in this. For instance, the day that this takes place, they're anticipating well over 100,000 people coming into town. And so that'll make it very challenging to get equipment from one end to the other, like a backhoe or something. So we're trying to make sure we cover all of that. There will be some additional meetings coming on to hopefully further clarify that. The chamber event coming up on Friday, January the 19th, they're going to present what we've got so far, an overview for the business part of the community, and try to find out what businesses will be open, how it's going to impact them, deliveries and so forth, to further the action plan. And then today we also discussed that we're going to create an email address so that people in the community that have questions regarding this can email their questions, or businesses that have any additional information. We can communicate back and forth with them. We will keep the town webpage up to date. The various departments have social media accounts, and we'll keep those up to date. And I believe that is it. Was there anything else?
No, that sounds right.
So I'm happy to answer any questions you've got.
Well, the public's been asking me, do we have a rain date if it rains out?
Sure.
Okay. I heard it's like 2044 is the next, would be our rain date or something like that?
Something like
Okay, all right.
Yes, and I'll remind them a year or two before.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. We're on it.
So the council's aware there will be additional firefighters and police officers staffing apparatus and that, mainly because of the large large influx of people coming into the community.
Just want to add to what you just said, so for clarity for the public, he's not talking about 100,000 people in the county, he's talking about in the town.
Correct.
So this is normally an almost 10,000 person town. Multiply that figure times 10 for that time of day. The rest of the county will have many, many more people. So even moving from one end of the town to the other, from everything we've learned from people who've done this, will be exceedingly difficult. Trying to move across county will be almost impossible. So everyone keep that in mind as we get closer to that date. Kip? Denise? Nicole? Noel, sorry. I'll get there. All right. Moving down to council comments.
I just want to
I'm like the fourth person to do it today, so come on.
I just want to thank everybody for letting me serve as town council president for the last term and a half or so. So I just want to appreciate that and thank you all.
Thank you. Who else? Who else? Okay, seeing no comments, meeting is adjourned.